Ahoy, hoy, everyone. Welcome to another spooky episode of The O Show. I'm O, and I'm here for your amusement. Okay, you guys, so I have a fun movie we're going to talk about today. So, this is part of my Halloween Orphathon Spectacular, but it's not necessarily like a horror movie, but you know what? It's Elvira, and she's like Halloween like every day. So today we are going to talk about Elvira, Mistress of the Dark. Ooh, it's Elvira, Mistress of the Dark. Okay, you guys, so like, oh my god, when I tell you, I was obsessed with this movie as a kid. Like, I was obsessed. Probably shouldn't have been watching it, but what's so weird about it is, okay, so I watched this movie when it premiered on NBC. So this movie came out in like 1987, if I'm not mistaken. And I always thought it was like a made-for-TV movie because it was like an NBC production, right? So I was like, oh, in Chicago, NBC is Channel 5. So I was like, oh, it was made for TV by Channel 5, right? And I recorded it, and I watched the hell out of that tape, right? Like every other movie that came out around that time. But it's so weird because this movie was so highly like edited on TV, and it was so crazy when I finally got to see. I think I went to like Blockbuster or something, and I was like, you know what? Let me just see what the rental version looks like, because you know when you're a kid, you watch something on TV, but if you rented it, all of a sudden it was like rated R. You know, like all the things they took out on TV is now on the tape from the video store. But yeah, there are so many differences and shit that they cut out. And what's so funny is now as an adult, there are so many jokes that I knew of because, you know, I knew the movie like from front to back. Like this movie. But there's so many jokes that as an adult you're like, oh, I get that now. We'll talk about it, so maybe I'll catch a few in my review. But yes, let us talk about Elvira, Mistress of the Dark. So the movie starts off with Elvira. She is like this hostess of awful B movies, right? So she's watching this awful movie, and her time is up, so she has to hurry up and get off the air so that the news can come on. So, like, one of these crazy edited parts of this movie that is so weird watching it now is when she meets the new station owner. So there's this guy, and you don't know really what's happening because she's like, you did what? And they don't tell you like what's happening. But watching it now, is he pimping her out? Like, is she like a prostitute now to the new station owner? Like, sleep with this man, you keep your job. Like, I don't know, but this guy is super sexually harassing her. But when you watch the TV edit, you don't really know what's happening, right? And then she fights back and pushes him into the news desk. And one of those jokes that I got later in life is
in a granny knot.
You said she was a nympho.
Come on, will you?
And you know, as a kid, what was I, like 6, 7 years old when this movie came out? I was like, okay, a nympho, like a nymph? Like those things in the woods, the magical creatures. And now as an adult and I hear him say nympho, I'm like, oh, a nymphomaniac. Oh, I know what that means. Because this movie's just full of shit that I guess as a kid you kind of just laugh because you think like, it seems like it should be funny. It just goes over your head. But anyway, that's what's happening. So she quits. She's like, fuck this station. Like, I don't need this shit. I'm going to have myself a Las Vegas show at the Flamingo Hotel. And she has her manager call and get the information. And she learns that in order for her to have this show, it's going to cost her like $50,000. So it just so happens that she receives a telegram. And the telegram is telling her that her Aunt Morgana has passed away. She's going to Massachusetts and be present for the reading of the will. So of course she's like, oh my god, like I ain't know I even had this aunt. Was that perfect timing or what? So then we have this whole awesome like montage of her like driving to Massachusetts We got the axe murderer guy. We got the gas station that she blows up. Doesn't even realize she did. But after all that, she does end up making it to Massachusetts. Her car falls apart. It blows up when she gets to town. So of course the town folk all come out to see what the commotion is, and there's Elvira just sticking out like a sore thumb. Edie McClurg is in this movie, and that lady was so funny. She was everywhere in the 80s. She was on TV shows, she was in movies, but she plays this character called Chastity Pariah. And now, again, as an adult, that name makes so much sense, because as a kid, you're like, just, Chastity Pariah just sounds like another normal name to me, but now as an adult, you're like, oh, now I know why she's named that. Anyway, she's that one person in every town and probably every family who knows all the gossip, and she's just so fucking nosy, and she would persuade people to do things so she could have her way. So she has a little run-in with Elvira. So Elvira gets her a hotel motel, and we meet Robin, and Robin's a young teenage girl, so she's going to come up again later. And Elvira's like, what do we do for fun around here? And Robin's like, well, really the only place is the bowling alley. So she goes to the bowling alley, who stopped serving like hard liquor after 8 o'clock. Like, what the fuck kind of time? So you have to get trashed before 8 o'clock? Is that what you're saying? It kind of reminds me of Indiana. Doesn't Indiana like shut down liquor at a time? Or I think there's a day. I think you can't buy liquor like on a Sunday or something. It's really weird. But so she has this run-in with these two goons, and starts this bar fight, and we are introduced to Bob and Patty. So you would think Bob and Patty are a thing, but I think Patty thinks in her head that they're a thing, and Bob is just there. Because Bob obviously gives no shit about this lady at all. So Bob saves Elvira. They kick the people's ass, and they walk out, and now she's starting to develop a crush on him, but he's also right now not having it, because she goes in for a kiss, he just gets into his car and leaves. So it's the next day, and Elvira shows up for the reading of the will, and we are now introduced to her uncle Vincent Talbot, and so he was her great aunt's brother. So of course she keeps calling him Uncle Vinny. So they're reading the will, and like the housekeeper gets something, the driver gets something, and then Elvira gets her aunt's house, recipe book, and her dog. And poor Uncle Vinny gets zip. He's pissed. So, but he's really, really interested in this book, right? So she's like, well shit, you can have it. Just give me $50 for it. So the the lawyer brings her over to the house, and she checks it out, and it's like a dump. Like they pull that thing where she thinks it's one house, and he goes, yeah, but your house is over there. It's the one falling apart. The dog is what is this, like a poodle? I don't know what kind of dog this is, but his name is Algonquin, and she's like, well, I'm not gonna call you Algonquin, I'm gonna call you Gunk. So she gives the dog like a total punk makeover. And then Vincent shows up, but the dog, when the dog realizes that Vincent's coming, he like takes the book and hides it. And so she's like, well shit, I thought I put it down there. And he gets pissed, and she's like, well calm the fuck down, it's a book. I'll find it. So, okay, why does he need that book? Well, those two goons that were in the bowling alley the night before, they're actually Vincent's goons. Like, so I guess they work for him, or they follow him and do his bidding and all that other stuff. So he kind of explains like that book has the most power in the world and blah blah blah. So we're like, ooh, oh no. So there are these boys, right? So we first see these three boys who were at her car when she first comes into town. So that night they decide to climb up the side of her house and look in the window and take a picture of her naked. So she does get undressed, and at the very last moment, they manage to take a Polaroid of her. But she does catch them, and they're just like, oh, we were just here to see if you needed help with your house. She's like, okay, come when it's light out, you know. So they actually do. At the very next day, they show up, and they're like, hey, we got all the supplies and paint. And she's like, okay, come on up. So they literally give this house a makeover. On the outside only. That's it. Just the outside. So they're like cleaning the wood and scraping it down. And like more and more kids show up because they see Elvira, so they're like, "Oh shit, yeah, we'll help her." Robin shows up, so they're all like fixing up the outside of the house, and these kids are literally just painting anything, any old color. They don't stick to one color. They it's like they came with all the leftover paint in town. So now this place is like a fun house. But you know what? I wasn't mad at it in the 80s. Like now, I'm like, oh god. But you know, when you're a kid, you're like, ooh, that's a cool looking house, right? But Elvira loved it. She's like, it is fabulous, okay? So there is a council meeting happening, and Chastity is of course chairperson. And they're all talking about Elvira. And so that picture that the boys had taken got confiscated, I think, by the principal. So he was like, I found this, the boys had it, and we're pretty much going to ban the kids from hanging out with Elvira. So if anyone is seen with her, like, you're going to get in trouble. So now the kids can't talk to her. But there's this part. Now it's in the uncut version of the movie, right? So on TV, they seem to just cut to Elvira sitting outside her house with an open house sign, right? But on the uncut version, there's this realtor guy, and he comes to the house and he sexually harasses her. I didn't realize she gets sexually harassed like 4 times in this movie. As a kid, you kind of see it one time. Oh my god, NBC cut all that out. So there's a part where this guy is literally just trying to like grab her, and falls on top of her, and then she kicks him out the house, and he's like, well, you know what? You don't want to sleep with me, you ain't gonna sell this house. Then we get to the scene where she's sitting outside waiting for someone to come to the house, so you just see the open house sign. So you're there like, that's so weird. But that's the scene, so I guess she's like stuck right now, so we're gonna have to figure that out. She still has to come up with this $50,000, like the flamingo is breathing down her manager's neck, like, you want us to hold this spot, like you need to come up with this money. So she tries to get a job. So she's going around to all the places who are they have like for help, but no one's hiring her. And then she runs into Bob at the movie theater. So Bob runs the movie theater. So he tells her like, oh, your problem is Chastity Pariah.
You know what your problem is? Chastity Pariah.
Ooh, I thought that cleared up.
No, Chastity Pariah. She's the old biddy. She's got the whole town turned against you.
Well, you know, and he was saying like, well, my job is like, it's so super slow, like I might not be here for a while. And she's like, well, look, you only play like G-rated stuff. Like, let me show a movie here and get some people in. But they just obviously can't do it, so they have to like secretly do like a midnight showing. So she finds the kids and she's like, oh my god, you guys, I've been looking for you. And they're like, well, we can't be seen with you because we're gonna get in trouble. And so she fake cries and they feel sorry for her, so they're like, okay, well, we'll go to your show.
Sorry, Elvira. We'll all come to your show.
Great. 12 o'clock sharp. Be there or be square.
Yeah, so all the kids end up sneaking out of their house and they all go to the midnight showing, and it ends up being Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. I haven't seen Attack of the Killer Tomatoes in so long. There's like, I think like 5 of those movies. I know I saw a couple. I don't think I watched all of them. But anyway, that's what they're showing. And so she has this thing rigged up like Flashdance, where after the movie, she's gonna do this finale and dance around and then pull this rope and all this glitter is supposed to fall on her. But rewind back to the bowling alley when she was telling the kids about the movie, because that bitch Patty was listening, right? So Patty does not like Elvira, and she's like, I'm gonna get her. So she sneaks into the theater. She takes the glitter, replaces it with a bucket of tar. So then, when Elvira's doing her dance on stage, she goes and she pulls the rope and a whole bunch of tar falls on her. Then Patty takes a bag of feathers and just like dumps it on her. Oh my god, it's horrible. So we go back to Elvira's place. She's taking a bath. There's 2 kids there, but she kicks them out. So Elvira's trying to get him in, but Bob's not having it. So he's like, I'm hungry. She goes, oh, well, that's okay. I'll just whip up something in the kitchen, right? So she takes the recipe book. Oh, yeah, that's right. She finds the recipe book because they're like making out, well, she's trying to make out on the sofa. And she feels it under the cushion. So she's like, well, damn, that's where that book went. So anyway, she's like, well, I got this book. I'm going to go make dinner. And then this is the craziest scene. This lady does not care what these ingredients are that she's pulling out of this cabinet. Like, it's talking about some now I can't even think of the words now. But, you know, it calls for this. And she finds the jar, and it's nothing but worms. And so she just dumps the whole thing of worms in this pot. There's this thing that smells awful. It's all green and just... and she's just dumping stuff like, girl, this isn't like food to you. It just always made me laugh. Like, you're just following this recipe, and you just have... at the end... what is bubbling, she ends up putting like some cheese whiz on top and crushes some potato chips and puts it on top to make it look cute. And has the nerve to try to serve it to Bob. And you know what's so funny? The funny thing about this scene is like this house is old as hell, right? But I find it so funny that it has a garbage disposal. so they kill this monster by putting it in the kitchen sink, and then Bob flips the switch with the garbage disposal. I love this house on garbage disposal. So after the whole like dragon fiasco, Gonk like takes the book and runs off with it. It goes upstairs to like this attic space. And he has Elvira open this trunk that he's scratching on top of. And inside is a letter. And the letter is addressed to her, and it's from her aunt. And the aunt is pretty much just explaining like, your uncle killed your mother. We had to hide you and give you away so that you were safe somewhere else. You have the power. We give you this power that you need to use eventually. And that book is not just a book. Like, it's a powerful book of spells. Like, keep it away from your uncle. Why is this baby with all this... look at all this makeup on this child. Who painted this dog? I just love like how this baby just has all this makeup on her. This baby has no idea what the hell's happening. Alright, so the next day, the town is having this morality picnic. Morality picnic. And so it's pretty much like this potluck that's happening. And so Elvira's like, I'm gonna get these people. So she makes another batch of the shit she did the night before and sneaks it onto the table. And then she goes to hide in the bushes and just watches to see what happens, right? So, of course, Chastity is the first person in line. Well, no, she's not. There's other people there, but she's the first person to actually open the pot. And she tastes it, and she's like, ooh, this is good. So she gets her some, and the next person gets some, and the next person gets some. And Bob scares her and like creeps up on her. So they're both watching it. He's like, oh my god, did you really just put that pot out there? She's like, hell yeah, I did. But when they open it, of course, like nothing happens. Everyone's digging out of the pot. So she's like, shit, what the fuck happened? But it's so funny because she's like, man, I knew I screwed up when I substituted that one ingredient for some hamburger helper. So anyway, yeah. I guess the hamburger helper turned the pot into like this horny love spell because everyone starts getting super horny and they get crazy. Like, they're taking off their clothes, they're humping each other. Another whole scene is super edited. Like, when I first saw this movie, on the TV edit, they do that one scene with the hot dog, and then Patty takes it with a taco shell and eats it, but the words are taken out. So they talk in this uncut version. They don't do that in the TV version. There's another scene too. I think it's with Chastity. She sits on this guy's face, but I don't think she says what she says on TV. It was on here. Like, it's so weird. So, like, the next day, all the town people are at the council meeting, and they're all blaming each other because, like, they're like, "Oh my God, you took advantage of me." They're like, "No, you took advantage of me." But Vince shows up and tells him, like, "No, you all have been tricked. It's that damn Elvira. She did it, right?" So he ran into her too at the picnic. He's like, "So again about this book," and she's like, "Fuck you, the deal is off, right?" Because now she knows, like, do not give him the book. So he gets pissed off. So he was like, revenge. So, yeah, so now he's at the meeting and he goes, "Oh, it was all Elvira. We could have her arrested." And they're like, how are we going to do that? What did she do? And I guess he pulls up this old law that says, like, if you suspect witchcraft, you can have her arrested and burned at the stake. And these people were like, okay. So they literally, like, lock her up in jail and then start preparing steaks outside. Like, this movie took the hugest turn. It just got dark. So Bob is there at the jail, and Elvira was like, "Okay, you need to go get the book," right? So he does. But when he gets there, Vince is already there with his goons, and they knock him out, and he takes the book. Oh, the kids decide they're gonna help bust Elvira out by drilling on top of the jail to, I guess, make a big hole and get her out. Like, I don't know if they have rope. Like, I don't know who thought that plan was, like, a good idea. But anyway, they end up drilling on top of the wrong cell. The ceiling caves in, and all four of these kids are just, like, stuck up in the jail now. Like, they're locked up now. We never hear from them again in this movie until the end. Gonk is locked up with Elvira too. And they do talk about how, like, they never really say which, but the people of the family always have, like, this pet, and I forgot what the word is. You would think I would know, but the pet is supposed to be, like, magical, like a shapeshift and change into different things. So that's what Gonk ends up being. So he transforms himself into a mouse, or a rat, and he the rat's all, like, colorful, just like he is, all punked out. It's so cute. So this rat, like, goes out of the jail, goes all the way home, and then turns into, like, this Rottweiler and frees Bob, who's now tied up in the house. Okay, you guys following? There's a lot happening. Alright, so this priest comes in to give Elvira, like, her last rites, and he sexually harasses her. Like, oh my God. There's so much harassment happening in this movie, y'all. Like, it's y'all. Elvira was like the original Me Too. Okay, so they take her outside. They tie her up to the stake, and they go to light this thing on fire. And as a matter of fact, it was Patty. Patty's like, "Let me show you how to do it. You gotta burn it in multiple places." So she's about to die. And they even had a steak for the dog. There's, like, this big steak and a little steak. Oh my God. These people. So look, what happened? So Elvira remembers about the letter that her aunt wrote her, and her aunt was like, "Hey girl, like, you have the power, like, fix it, do something." So she manages to get her hand free, because this whole time she's had this big ruby ring on, and realizes that this is, like, her power source. So she points it to the sky, and she causes a rainstorm. And still to this day, I don't understand this part. Like, it starts raining, and all the town folks are going, and they all scatter and go running, leaving her there, seeing now that Bob is freeing her, which never made sense to me. So y'all were about to burn this lady alive. It starts raining, and everyone's more concerned about the rain getting them wet than this prisoner who you thought was a witch, who you're just letting go free to do it again later. Like, why is everyone like running? But anyway, it ended up being this showdown with Elvira and Vince. Vince has the book. He's becoming powerful. When he gets the book, like, the moon, there's like an eclipse happening. It's just a bad time, right? So he ends up like knocking out Bob. He throws Gonk into a garbage can, and pretty much it's just him and Elvira going against each other. It's not until like he gets into the house, like all of a sudden he can breathe fire, and he starts shooting things around the house, and the house is now going up in flames. But when his arm gets chopped off, it's the arm that has the hand with the ring. So the arm is moving around still, and it gets to Elvira, but she stabs it, and she manages to get the ring off just in time because he's about to throw a damn fireball at her. But she deflects it and actually hits it back towards him. It hits him and kind of destroys him, and that's how he dies. It's really weird. You know what though? The graphics are kind of good, like, for this being 1980. It's not really that bad. Anyway, she gets out of the house and the house burns down. So the next day, Bob and Gunk have like neck braces around their necks. And then the town folk come, and she's like, "Oh Lord, here comes the lich mob." But no, they're there to actually just apologize. So they're like, "Oh my God, Elvira, like, we were wrong." Why were you wrong though? Like, the night before, y'all were literally chanting like, "Kill the witch, kill the witch, burn the witch, burn the witch." And now the next day they're like, "We're sorry." Like, did they see her battling Vince? Did they know Vince was evil and they know that she saved the day? Like, no one knew what was happening. It started raining and everyone left. And then the next day, they're all like, "I'm sorry." I still don't understand that, but it is what it is. So her car's now fixed, and she's like, "I don't know how I'm going to repay you guys." And they're like, "Don't worry about it." But then it ends up, again, quick as hell, because it's literally the next day. How do they know Vince died? Because the lawyer guy shows up, and he's like, "Well, Elvira, you're Vince's last living relative, so you inherit everything he had." So now, of course, she gets her money, right? Isn't it the next day? Is it not the next day? See, people, this is why we need timestamps. You need to be like 1 week later. I can see if it was like 1 week later and she's still sitting there, and well, no, that wouldn't have made sense because she's still sitting outside the house. It's not like she was back at the cozy place at the motel. Anyway, you know what? Let me stop. I'm ruining the movie for myself now. So, happy ending. She gets her money. She has her opening at the Flamingo in Las Vegas, and she puts on a whole production, right? Y'all, when I tell you, how did I know I wasn't gay back in the 80s? Like, I had this whole thing memorized. Like, I used to take bed sheets and just hold them up, and everything she's doing like this, like, I had that whole thing memorized, you guys. I'm like, this is what happens when your parents, well, a parent. My mom was at work, and my dad would just leave me at home all the time for hours. And a lot of my mom would be like, "Oh no, I was home the whole time." No, you weren't, because if you were home all day, I would have learned this whole goddamn scene from Elvira. Now, what else is really weird is when she gets to this tassel part with her boobs, right? On TV, there was this song that went, But then when you watch the unedited version, it's like her theme music playing during this part. So I never understood what the difference is from using the Elvira theme music, I guess, to you using a whole different song. I don't understand that. I don't get it, but yeah, that messes with me because while I'm watching the movie uncut, I'm waiting for but I get this and it just messes with my mind. So that was Elvira. It's a fun movie. It's a campy movie. It is just it's fun. But yeah, Mistress of the Dark, like I love this movie. It's just so funny. It's funnier now that I get a whole bunch of these jokes, because everything out of Elvira's mouth is sexually funny, or it's sexually funny. And I'll probably get the joke like 60% of the time, but I think I'm pretty good. Like 99% of the time, I know what the joke is. Right? So I think I'm good. Fun stuff, like, and this girl still looks good. Have you seen Cassandra Peterson? She still looks fucking good. Oh my god, I forgot how old she is. Let's not talk about her age, but she can still rock this outfit. So, let's rate Elvira, right? What do I give this movie? You know, I'm gonna give it a 4. I love it. I love it a lot. It's a fun watch. Let me know how does this look good on camera? I'm gonna have to see. So now you can see the shot glasses a little better in the dark. I'm still trying to figure out this setup, you guys. I'm working. It's work in progress. All right. Let me know. Did you ever see Elvira? It's funny. Like, if you haven't watched it, just give it a watch. It's not a movie to take serious. It's just a fun watch. Yes. So let me know in the comments below your thoughts. So while you do that, I will take this shot. So cheers. Okay. All right. Yes. All right. So, all right, you guys. So, hope you enjoyed the show. And please like this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I will see you all in the next episode. So, until then, there's Fifi. Alright, TTFN.
Unpleasant dreams.